Today I'm gonna make a marinara sauce, and I'm making large cans. I'm gonna make quite a bit of it because I'm gonna make probably 5 or 6 recipes made from this as a base. And I'm gonna freeze some and leave some in the refrigerator because I don't wanna have to do this 6 times to do 6 different recipes. Plus it's always great to have marinara in your freezer, and a lot of great uses for it. So we're gonna have a large can of a heavy pureed tomato sauce. Then we're gonna have one of finely diced tomatoes, and they're in a tomato juice, kind of lighten it up, and it's all about texture for me. So you got these tiny little dices of tomato. You can buy the bigger chunks. You could use just tomato sauce to make it with, but I like to have a little bit of texture in my sauce with everything else that I'm doing. And if for some reason you want some to be not have that same kind of rustic texture, you just get your wand blender after it's done and you just blend it up really, really well, and it becomes very fine. So we have a large white onion, a lot of red wine, and bay leaf, salt, crushed garlic. I'm using Italian seasoning, about a half a cup, and I'm gonna put the recipes up so you can see it, and then and pepper, and that's it. Pretty simple recipe, and let's get to it. Okay, here we go. We're gonna make a marinara sauce now. And the first thing is, of course, always sauteing off the onions and getting them nice and brown. I'm gonna go high on this right now. And just spoon. And we're going to wait a few minutes and get the caramelization on the onions and get really that flavor to get really intense. Okay, now that we've got a little bit of color on the onions, we're going to go ahead and throw in the crushed garlic. I'll put a bunch of it in there. Now remember, with garlic, it's really important. You know, we're just going to get a little color on them, but if it burns, then you're going to have a real bitter sauce. So it's done pretty quickly. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and add the red wine. Now, I'm not sure where this family recipe came from. I mean, obviously I know my mom and dad, but my grandmother, who's from Napoli, lived with us, so we had a lot of Italian food growing up in North Africa, where I'm from. But we also had French influence because it was a French colony, and of course the rest of my family, everybody in my family, is from Spain. So, of course, using that influence, there had to be wine. The French, anyway, for sure. So, what we're going to do is we're going to let this wine cook off a little bit, and we're going to put a little bit of salt, and we can always adjust that a little bit later if we want, and some pepper. You could also use crushed red pepper, but like I said, this is going to be a sauce as a base for a bunch of other sauces, and then we're going to be adding lots of different layers as we go along on the next recipes. So, yeah, we're going to let this cook down a little bit. Get rid of some of that wine. If you leave the alcohol in the sauce, that's also going to give it kind of a sour, bitter taste to it. What you want to do is get rid of the alcohol. That's going to leave the sugars and, of course, the flavor of the wine, and it's going to take away some of that acidity from the tomato. So, after we let that cook for a little bit, we're going to go ahead and add our tomato sauce. But you know what? We might as well add the spices now. And we're using dried herbs today. Again, we're going to make this really simple. You could buy this at a grocery store. The Italian seasoning, all that is a combination of dried oregano and thyme and fresh basil, dried basil. And it also has a little garlic powder in there as well. And put that in there. Again, this is going to be really easy. If you want to use fresh herbs and spices, that's great. But we're going easy today. So we're going to put it down. Great. So now we're going to go ahead and add a tomato. These are really big cans, and you can get these at Smart and Final, and they're a lot less expensive than getting those small cans. And there we go. And here's a heavy puree. This particular company I really like a lot. I don't know if you can see that. Stanislaus. They make a very, very good product. All their whole line of tomatoes are really pretty amazing. And there you go. And that really is it. We're just gonna go ahead and gonna mix it all in there. We're gonna let all the spices and wine and everything mingle together. And we're gonna leave this on for about an hour. You could leave it on low for a bit longer. And this is one of these sauces that, you know, it's really good the next day and maybe even better the day after that. The more it concentrates, the better it is. And so that's all we're doing with this. Oh, and let's not forget the bay leaves. We're gonna throw a few bay leaves in there. Those are always a great flavor enhancer. We'll pull them out later. And there you go, and that's it. And I will be seeing you again with other recipes on what we're gonna do with the marinara sauce. It's gonna be a lot of fun.